Man, you're making me remember the good old days when I did editing and we used to do the clap thing that didn't work very well.
Oh yeah, I forgot all about that. That was a long time ago.
People always clap at the wrong time.
Guys, remember Hyperion? Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my god.
No, it was the second podcast I was on, not the first.
It was the first one all three of us were on, though.
Yeah, like tears in the rain.
Flow my tears.
I'm torn between thinking of going back to do stuff like that and also realizing whatever.
Life isn't like a river.
You don't have to throw editing on it. I mean, that's the whole reason why we're doing this live.
Yeah,
anyway.
If I was rich, I could find some vagrant and get them to do it. I mean, there was a brief period where I was considering doing that. It's like, if I befriend some hapless loser over the internet, I can get them to do it for me. But, then I would have felt bad and paid them anyway, so we just, it would have been fine. Yeah, okay, yeah, Tokyo Ghoul. We added 2 new ones,
internet.
So we're doing Tokyo Ghoul first.
Yes.
Also, real quick, do you guys hear a buzzing fan sound when I talk?
No.
No, I do not.
Okay, very cool. But yeah, Tokyo Ghoul. Yeah, well, it's always true. Because I never have much to say on Tokyo Ghoul, and these guys always have abundant things to say on Tokyo Ghoul. Because to me, it's kind of like, it's aesthetics, man. And then the few plot things that I bring up, like they talk way about. This stretch was kind of, what were the chapters again? Was it
19 to 31?
19 to 31.
Did this include the Christmas chapter?
No. This is
so.
The Christmas chapter is next.
Okay.
Yeah, this was kind of an extended fight scene.
Yes.
So even in the context of trying very hard, it's like it's not much to say. It's like, oh man, that punch was good. That kick was good. The aesthetic held on. If I have to say my favorite part of this, it's probably at the very end where that one guy has the revelation that the girl who is a guy is actually a girl. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that character. I can't remember anyone's name. Is it like Mitsuki?
I know.
Urie, and Mutsuki.
Mutsuki?
Mutsuki. Yeah, Mutsuki.
Mutsuki. I like that. I did find it funny and kind of creepy and thematically appropriate that he seems to smell that she's a girl, and that's part of how he figures out that she's a girl.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite moments in this stretch too, and I like the visual of her Kagune like wrapping around him after he penetrates her.
For a moment I was like, is she going to eat him? What the fuck? And it's like, oh okay, it's like a hug.
Yeah.
It is like a hug.
Yeah, it's a cool moment.
Yeah, Ghoul, that's how ghouls hug. They put their claws around each other. Yeah, I enjoyed her. I'm glad we're getting some progress with Kaneki seeming to move towards getting his memories back and having to make choices there or something. They can milk this for a while. I will be annoyed if the amnesia thing just continues for dozens and dozens of chapters and they don't really do anything with it till the very end. I'm glad we're getting things heated up with that. Other than that, it was nice fights. He's good at drawing at this point. It happened 2/3 of the way through Tokyo Ghoul.
I still complain about the art in those fights compared to...
You're nuts.
It's definitely not my thing exactly, and it's not perfect. He's reached the point where he's basically competent. Every now and again, you still get a panel where you look at it and go, I have no idea what the fuck is happening right now.
I understand what Jaws
no one's perfect.
I don't know. I wouldn't say I have a strong preference either way, but I do agree with Jaws. I understand your point that the last arc of Tokyo Ghoul looks different than Tokyo Ghoul Re. Like, it is interesting that, like, there is, like, a very short time span where the art looks good in a different way for just a very brief bit of the story, and then it nothing before it or nothing after it looks exactly like that stretch, which is interesting. It could have gone... There is another universe where it looks more like that, and less like the scribbly style of...
I like the scribbly style too, I just like it less.
Yeah, no, I like... Well, yeah, exactly. I don't have any I like them about equally. So to me, it's about the same. Like they both have the elements that I like in his art, and like that overall bit is not as important to me as the like compositions and.
I mean, I make
faces.
fun of him for sometimes having unclear choreography, but that's hard when one of your core drawing techniques is holding the inkwell over the paper like you're pouring chocolate syrup on pancakes.
Everywhere. Yeah, and everyone's powers are like
gotten better in terms of layouts and paneling and stuff.
The readability is miles past the first like Nishiki fight, but also like when a lot of the characters' powers are like clusters of like amorphous shapes, it's also harder to keep stuff clear than with a sword or a gun. So again, I don't fault him for that when everyone has big tentacles coming out of them that are flying all over the place. Yes.
Yeah.
What was your least favorite thing, if you can think of anything?
Honestly, my big complaint, I don't even want to say it at this point because I've said it I think every time since like the first or second Tokyo Ghoul reading. This guy is never ever going to learn the lesson of backing off with like the dense exposition and technical discussions and people framing their actions with just like a bunch of filler that no one really cares about. Like, I wish I could grab him by the neck and make him stop. He's never going to stop. I've made peace with it. I don't need a scene of guys in suits like babbling about like Quinque R cells and admin and like the forms that are getting passed around desks, or why we're doing this. Like, we're doing this because it's an action horror manga and we need a fight. Shut up.
Okay.
It's like Death Note if they were just describing like whose desk the folder has to go on to for the acquisitions. Like, I don't need to hear it.
I will agree that I never cared much about explanations about RC cells other than the first explanation of just that is what allows ghouls to do things. Like, it is odd that he goes into more detail about it. A long time ago when we got the like rock paper scissor Kagune thing, I was like, that's fine, that's like simplistic enough. But yeah, beyond this, I mean, I don't mind those scenes as much as Green seems to, but yeah, I also do agree that they seem kind of unnecessary. Like, I don't know.
And
like...
I have noticed on this reread how much of that exposition style is there.
Yeah.
Which I didn't notice it that much on the first times I read it. So yeah, I definitely see where you're coming from.
I just find it exhausting because I feel like with most, not most, but at least most of the stretches of the chunks we read, I could just cut out between 5 and 9 pages.
Yeah.
Put them in front of you and just say, I want you guys to explain what part of this is interesting.
Yeah.
And there's not, I don't want to be too mean because I understand, like, we've talked about it. It's not like you guys are defending it or saying it's awesome. It's just a little exhausting to realize he's never going to learn his lesson with this. People are going to be babbling about, like, which bureaucratic faction signed the form, or, just way too much framing of actions. Actions that at bottom are very simple and don't need to be explained. Just wait. He's never going to stop.
I think
I'll never say it again until we
finish
Tokyo Ghoul, because you don't need to hear it every fucking time, but it's always going to be there because there's all these magical little character moments of like, I don't know, like neat girl getting made fun of for having sweaty tits or something that we don't get because we spent too much time on this horse shit.
I think you hit the nail on the head though, because it's like, okay, I think the reason it's noticeable it's because it's such a clunky shift. Like, it feels like he's like, like you're like in this high octane action and these fun. What the series, both of them combined together, does best is like really great fight and action scenes and amazing like interpersonal character moments and scenes like that, and often he weaves those into the big fight scenes. Like,
Yeah.
that's the point of the fight scenes, is that it's not just a fight scene. Peppered along them is a lot of like introspection and character interaction and great dialogue. But then suddenly it's like you're driving the car, and then suddenly the gear, like, he like pulls the fucking the brake back, and it's like, oh, hang on, just a second, I'm gonna park here for 9 pages just while we like
explain where everyone has to go
exactly,
and why
exactly.
makes those strategical
Exactly.
decisions.
I really don't even need like I don't even need the pages of like the map to know where everyone is in this like building. It's like my eyes, like I wish I was like invested enough to just read through that and have like a better idea of that positionally, but I really don't. It doesn't matter in this context, because it's like you're switching between a bunch of disconnected fight scenes. Like, it's not like it's not like Chimera Ants where people are running through the different wings of the palace and different characters bump into each
not
other.
To mention, it's only like a few chapters long, so
exactly. It's like get to know the layout of the auction house for no reason. Like, and Green mentions like this, yeah, like no one caring about this. Like, it's like, yeah, to compare with something a bit smoother, again with Hunter x Hunter, it's like there is never a scene where like people will explain Nen and there is Nen exposition, but usually it happens in the middle of like some other fight or thing, or it's very short, and people will just mention it kind of offhandedly throughout the thing, so that it becomes just a fun little addition. There's never like the big scene where they sit Gon and Killua down in the room and someone is like, okay, here's all the Nen things. It's like, even when Wing explains it, he just gives these kind of like mysterious sort of things, and it's more about, you know, just like, yeah, I'll just give you a little drip here and here. You're like, it's not the most important thing, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, the map is funny because it reduces to this: who's here?
Yeah,
everyone.
Who's fighting who? It's like
yeah. What are they doing? They're all fighting. That's all that That's all that matters. It's just everyone is fighting, fucking everyone. We're good. And it's like the prep for everything they do should literally be this. It should be like 10 pages of witty cop banter. Then Arima walks out and says, "Who here hates ghouls?" Everyone raises their hand and they say, "Let's go fuck them up." That's all we need.
Okay, we're just laying into this because it was a cool stretch, obviously, and it was sick as hell, and there was a bunch of really cool shit in it.
Let's get to what actually happens.
And just as a final thought, but the first moment in Tokyo Ghoul that I legit, really liked was when he walks in on Hanami, eating the fingers.
Oh yeah.
Just because like it's very cute. It's a compellingly weird image. It's got a bunch of goofy, it's got some goofy charm to it, and it's like it's exposition about ghouls and how they behave and how they're different from people. That she would be embarrassed to be caught eating is just a funny idea in and of itself. And so that's part of, that's part of what makes it charming. It's like there's a lot going on. I like Tokyo Ghoul when it's doing stuff like that. Yes. When they're doing
like more of the bantering stuff between the Queen Squad and things like that.
When the world and the character are working together to create fun little interesting moments. When it's very dry and disconnected from character, it gets old. And I'm always thinking, how many scenes like Hanami eating the fingers are we not getting because we're watching Arima berg out for the 50th time? I'm done with that topic now, but yes. The fights were pretty good.
To skip ahead half a chapter, I think you'll be very happy with like the Christmas one, because that's like one of my favorite ones so far, just because that was all it was. It was just a bunch of silly interactions between all these kooky characters coming over and being like, "Hey, let's all hang out." The fight scenes are.
Yeah, we'll start the next section with that chapter.
Yeah, but fuck, the Tanizawa is a Takizawa is a bad guy. What?
I mean, I really like that reveal, or rather the drawing.
It's a good one.
It's like one of the best drawings.
And it's great that they throw a bone to people who are wondering, like, what the fuck is up with so much of the stuff that was left hanging from. That was like one of the bigger questions from part 1,
I mean, I guess I assumed, as probably most people assumed,
that he just
died.
But it felt kind of like inauspicious for the guy after he had that big 2-page spread of "I don't want to die," and he didn't seem like the guy who is like let's go and tries to attack Naki and gets sliced to pieces, or the guy who gets his head pulled off like a pineapple. Like that's more the type of guys who just die like it seemed like Takizawa had died. So that was I didn't 100% sure expect him to come back, but I was like, what happened to that guy? I'd like to know.
Yeah, you wonder a little bit.
Exactly. And yeah, he's fucking nuts. He has like one of my favorite. I mean, I love the panels of him like running around. He's like sideways flipping around and like acting like a maniac and rambling. And that's like one of my favorite.
Where he just looks from where you only see his head, but tilted to the side.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites. He's like completely horizontal sideways and he's like woo, like running around, being like, "Hello, look, viewer." And God damn it, the. Do you want me to? I don't. Yes. Okay.
Describe the person you're thinking about.
Sorry. But I was like, I love that. That's one of my favorite moments is when he's got like the two agents cornered, and he is like, one of them is like recognizes him. It's like, oh, you're the one who was talking during my lecture. And she's like, yes, that's me. And he pulls her head up and he's like, don't fucking talk during the lecture. Like I was like, I knew that was gonna happen, but it was still really funny.
A moment of connection, and then this.
That was just great. Like
I like that.
Yeah, he's just become like a kind of a joke, but in like a fun way. And like his like resentment from Akira from like the first bit has come back in this like warped evil form. Exactly. All that stuff is a chef's kiss. This is why we like Tokyo Ghoul.
It's a little messed up how different he looks now.
He looks very different.
I mean, this was probably just me, but for a second I was like, is that fucking Owl? Is that like Owl Jr.? Then I was like, oh wait, no, it's that just Owl
Jr. is a girl too. But that's understandable.
If that wasn't obvious, he has Yoshimura's Kagune.
It was only for a couple pages, but it just took it. There's too many mysterious badasses with white hair that pop in out of.
And he changes how he draws characters a lot too. Like that might be why he threw that flashback in there. Frankly, it might just be for everyone who hadn't caught on to just have a little picture of the guy, be like, remember that guy? Yeah. But fuck yeah, that was great.
What did you say?
What are some other great highlights from this?
I have something.
Yes, say it, Green. Say it.
I like that the mom character comes back and has a little thing with Suzuya.
Yes.
That was. I keep accidentally calling her Big Mom because of One Piece.
Yeah. Don't you mean him, Green? Well. Dun dun dun.
Wait, what? What'd I say?
Don't you mean him, Big? Keep calling him Big Mom? Because at the end, Juza calls him father, and it's revealed that it was a male ghoul all along.
Oh, right.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not that big of a deal, really. But
I mean...
they're like, yeah, it was a guy.
Yeah, Ishida is on some weird stuff, and
he's like, that's why he squashed Juza's balls, because it was a man dressed as a lady. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, who wouldn't draw that conclusion?
Sure. But it was. First it was cool, the reveal that it was like, oh, they're a badass. They're like an SS rank ghoul, and they kick the shit out of Urie, and we got some great Urie faces. I like Urie goes like sideways and goes crazy to think like, oh damn, he's gonna go real strong now, and he just gets the shit kicked out of him. Yeah, and he's like in the fetal position on the floor crying like, why do I suck?
There is a slight admission that the ghoul system doesn't really make sense. Like they basically admit that, SS, it means we just, I don't know, they're just scary or we just don't like them very much.
Well, they introduced the S
it's not
the.
just based on combat, but like influence and other
that's
things.
right.
So
And then they also
which is code for they just make it up, like whatever.
Yeah.
They
introduced
like
the S like with a little wavy line, and that's like at least S. We don't know.
Yeah.
And then they like upgrade Nutcracker to like SS or normal S. I don't know. Yeah.
we need RA to come here so we can make a bunch of comparisons to the SCP. He would love that.
Well, it's better than I prefer to the SCP, like the Keter and all the different.
RA inexplicably loves the SCP, so he'd like the
or unexpectedly rather. Yeah. I mean, it's better. I prefer this to it's over 9,000 or like those stakes and ways of showing who is stronger or less effective than this is fine as like a tier list system. Kind of I enjoy that, but it does, the problem with this is the more and more you introduce, like this is a minor complaint, but I feel like S and SS and all that stuff meant much more in part 1 than it does in part 2, because part 2 has much more characters and ghouls who are those ranks, and even ranks that we kind of see as like Naki is a strong ghoul. I feel like Naki being S rank kind of devalues S ranks a tiny bit, just because he's such a goofy character who like it doesn't seem to have like a crazy good power. Like he's a guy with a metal pointy kagune who runs around the battlefield and slides people like, oh damn, the S tier Naki has run. It's like, I'm not really intimidated by the S tier Naki. I don't care if you put an S in front of his name. Like just a minor thing. Although I am really happy that Naki is back, because he is one of my favorite characters.
He's still as stupid as ever and almost gets himself.
Great. He just squats on top of the thing, jumps into the battlefield, and is like, yeah. And then he says his ally's name, and he's crying because his dumb friends, and they're like, you're too stuck in the past, and he's like has an existential crisis in the battlefield. I smile every time he's on the page running around.
Naki is surprisingly good for how stupid of a character he is.
Yeah, he's great. I like that.
He also grows on you.
I like that panel. Yeah, well, he's great because he does he tries to do intimidating, scary face, but he's not nearly as scary as Jason was or anything. And they have that side-by-side panel where he's doing the face and Akira is doing her dad's squinty eye face. And we're like, damn, it's the showdown, the moron versus the smartest character. Who will win? But we did get some great stuff with Hinami.
Yes.
That was all great. Yeah,
probably my favorite stuff in the entire
I love everything to do with that. Yeah, you forget that Mado's using the Kincaid that was made from her dad or mom or both. I forget. And that killed the mom, but Hinami killed her dad kind of in joint with Toka. So there's a great I knew all those events, but that was had been kind of left more in the background, and it's great that he found that untapped vein and was like, oh right, there's huge drama here that I've just kind of let fall to the background with the Kaneki stuff coming to the front, and now great, getting some resolution on that is very cool.
A very minor point about Naki, my brain has to keep overriding the gender in my head, because he looks like that one girl from Hunter x Hunter from the Dark Continent.
Wait.
You know what I'm talking about?
I know the one. The assistant to Tsezgera. Theta. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, he has the same hairstyle.
They have the same haircut.
They don't have the
light
same
slick back
face.
hair.
But,
I think they both wear suits. My brain just keeps reminding me of them.
You are correct that they both wear suits, because everyone on the fucking boat wears suits.
Yeah.
It's an occasion. You want to dress nice.
I never made that connection, but I understand. I don't think he looks even slightly girly, but I do understand that the name is girly, at least.
Yeah, I love my favorite thing is very likely the one panel where Hinami is saving Heise and like holding him in her arms. That's amazing.
That is very cool.
The second favorite one is the one you just pulled up, is the meme.
Well, I wasn't sure when to get. I thought I'd get a Naki before jumping into the big thing, but yeah,
we're jumping all over the place.
Like I understand a long time ago I spoke to Jaws and he mentioned how like he was slightly annoyed, I think, that like this is such a meme panel because it's like a big deal. I feel like this is a weird comparison, but it's kind of like when people post the Final Fantasy ha 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 scene as being like, oh, it's so cringe and bad voice acting, but it's like in the context of the game, the point of that scene is that he is fake laughing to try and cheer Yuna up and be like, we should try and laugh in the face of sadness and even when we don't feel like it, because it's like, you're using your willpower sort of moment. Instead it just gets like flanderized into this silly scene. Same with like this, it's a hilarious reaction image, but I didn't know it was like one of the most poignant, like best looking moments. It might be like the best moment in Re so far. And it's like a reaction image that goes next to the please have sex with me on the shelf.
Yeah, I have a hard time taking this seriously. I know it's no one's fault.
Once again, the internet ruins everything.
Yeah, the internet ruins everything it touches.
I have the reverse thing where I look at the meme now and I think of this. But
that's how it should be.
This is great. Like Green was saying, good thing that they're bringing back the Kaneki stuff. I mean, he's done a good job of making me feel the same conflict, because I have grown a bit attached to. I like Heise as a character.
Yeah.
And I don't want him to just become Kaneki, but obviously I miss my boy from part 1 who got stabbed through the back of the head and broke his brain. It's like that line in Muramasa, like everything, when he's like, excuse me, have you seen my brain?
Yeah.
That's him right now, and he's inside and he's little boy Kaneki, and yeah.
Yeah, I like how him like finally like looking at the inner Kaneki transforms him from like this monstrous centipede version to the child version.
Because he's been avoiding him so much.
More similar to what we see from Kaneki's inner perspective when he was like basically dying after the Arima stuff. Yeah. He was also confronting his inner child. So yeah, it's an interesting little.
The back makes the back of my eyeballs twitch or itch. That was interesting with the guy. I mean, we know all this stuff about one-eyed ghouls are very strong, and fellow. We don't know what the fuck happened with Takizawa. He mentioned something about being used to lots of pain. Yeah. Obviously, becoming a one-eyed ghoul is a very uncommon occurrence, he has the what do you call this, Jaws, when they. What is this like when they get like the mask? What is it? Yeah.
Like he's like a half Kakuja, I guess.
Kakuja, yeah, okay. But he has a. I mean, initially it looks a lot like Kaneki's pointy one from the first bit, and then it turns into kind of like a night mask.
Yeah, which can also be like seen even at this bars, like almost like a prison.
Yeah, which is interesting. And you mentioned Hinami's mask looking very Dark Souls 3, and that his mask kind of also looks kind of Dark Souls, kind of like a Dark Souls Knight in a weird way, like the Tower Knight or something. Yeah, and I mean, I'm all for Dark Souls.
Misa's mask also looks very Dark Souls.
Oh yeah, that's right. The sword knife lady. Yeah, I like that one too a lot. Yeah, that reminded me of Artorias's companion with the Irish name. I'll forget her name. The two knife lady that you meet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I'm pretty sure this is Dark Souls inspired. Like, given all the Elden Ring inspired stuff in Shojin X.
He's got good tastes. Oh, that was good. All the stuff with Psycho, I bet Green, you probably like that. I like her like running around and helping during the fights, and
Yeah,
And she has like a big hammer. Yeah,
I like when she emotes and runs around and contributes.
yeah.
You know,
That was
contributes
great.
once
When
in
That
her
she
was
worthless life.
Oh, that was an interesting connection. Those few bits where he was like screaming over the loudspeaker, that reminded me a lot of the chapters we had with Krona, where in Soul Eater, where Krona would shout and like their scream would take up the sides of the pages. Like that was very interesting
okay,
little
yeah.
mirroring there. But yeah, that was a cool scene. I guess we didn't touch upon I always forget his name. Fucking missile guy.
Yeah, Shirazu.
Yeah, Shirazu's. That was an interesting fight compared to the others because it was more strategic. Yeah, that felt more like a Hunter x Hunter fight or something. I mean, that was an interesting one. I was happy to see him, and I like that he is like kind of affected by at the end when he's like defeated someone, a fellow human.
He says, "Oh, now at the end you're saying human stuff and things like that."
Yeah, exactly. Man, what else? Oh yeah, we had stuff with the clowns too. That was crazy.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah, the clouds. We were speaking of powers earlier. Like in this little section, we see a little bit of the evolution of powers, where they're now not just tentacles and whatever.
Yeah.
Like we see with Uta that he can change his face, which is a pretty fucking nuts power. Like he changes his face to Arima's face to mess with Hirako, and he just gets his face flashed immediately.
Yeah, that's an interesting. Yeah. We also get the idea that some Kagunes can be like left behind.
Yeah, can be detached. Exactly.
Yeah, some can be left as like landmines. Yeah, there's interesting stuff being added to the power dynamic, which is cool. It's better than everyone just has different kinds of tentacles that they hit against each other.
I like the very simple stuff that was in just earlier Tokyo Ghoul because
it works.
It gets a little bit insane in a way that I don't quite like.
I will say it was great for the original, but maybe also you could see it also as if every fight kept being that kind.
Yeah,
maybe it would have run out of steam.
And I'm pretty sure that's why
Exactly.
Why Ishida made progressions in that.
Yeah, we got some crazy stuff with the clown fight. Is interesting because we get like lots of stuff with this character and Uta. I don't remember the other guy like much.
Hirako?
Was he in part one?
The point is that he's forgettable, or that he at least looks like everyone says that about him, that he doesn't stand out, but is surprisingly skilled for how little he's noticed. Like he's basically Arima's second in command.
He's the beta to his alpha.
Okay. By him. Yeah.
Okay. That was interesting. We got a tiny bit of fan service with Roma's shirt being open, which is fun.
Yeah.
I like Roma. I like she's back. She has some fun sadistic power stuff.
She's ripped out this guy's eyeball.
Yeah, and we get the guy, son of other fellow, who fucking breaks. That is a bit bullshit that he just has like the strength of 7 men or some shit, and just like it's not even just that he snaps a ghoul's neck, is that he takes like the biggest hulking, giant fucking homunculus creature and just snaps his neck, and they're like, oh damn.
The Kuro Evas are just built different.
But yeah, I like the intrigue that they're building with the clowns being this kind of like wild card faction, no pun intended with cards and jokers. That has confusing goals, and they have a leader we don't know, and they're what is their plan? They kind of infiltrate every kind of strata of ghoul society, and they have these. They're pulling the strings. So it's interesting to see more of that. Uta especially is an interesting character because we meet him as much more of a friendly presence, and he's still.
Yeah, now we see what he spends his time.
He does some weird shit, and he's a fighting guy, and he messes with Mutsuki.
Yeah, that's like one of the most interesting things, because it implies that at the very least he, or maybe all of the other clowns, know shit that goes on in the CCG.
Yeah,
So
that would
how
imply either clown infiltration of the CCG or a CCG leak, like people in the CCG are traitors who are somehow giving away energy, or a third just they have some way of knowing these things.
Yeah, it just introduces a new little thing to think about.
But yeah, that's an interesting one. And oh yeah, speaking of Mitsuki, she has a tough time with a German guy coming after her, and then she has like a stalker fan now who punches him in the face. That's very funny.
It's probably the scene or the section I like the least out of this, because it's like
the
a little
least
weird.
Interesting, I guess. Yeah.
I think it's also like a little bit weird in terms of power dynamics. Like,
it goes very strange. It's like a very strange like ebb and flow to that scene where it's like she's like running
because
off.
it's like two separate ones.
Yeah, it's like
not
she
one long
she
one,
had
it's
like
two
her
separate.
mind break thing. Then she's like has like a moment of strength where she runs from the Nutcracker. Then she gets like attacked by the guy, but then she gets saved by the stalker. But then she gets stabbed through the back anyway. And then she has like a very weird route throughout this part, where then she gets like dragged by Urie on a lying pretext into the wrong area. Then she defeats some guys, but then she gets the shit kicked out of her by like the bodyguards. Then the finale is good, like I mentioned, with the like hug scene, but that is a weird, like she really just like tumbled around like a pinball during this section in a weird way. Fuck. Yeah, I guess I touched about all the stuff I wanted to. Shouldn't be all Tokyo Ghoul.
I mean, we haven't.
Did we miss anything?
We haven't talked much about the general fight of Heise versus Takizawa.
I mean, that one was not so much a fight as it was just like a big argument, just to reach so strong.
Later on, and before it, it's just a beating where Heise gets dragged through the whole.
Yeah. Well, Heise already. We kind of had this very similar scene early with the Nishiki thing and his head hurting, and when they're like, "Oh, the SSS rank Ghoul that he is." I
mean, he doesn't go crazy this time.
He doesn't go full. Yeah, doesn't go full postal, but
yeah. Hinami protects him temporarily and fights Takizawa, which, as I already said, I really like.
I was very scared at the end when Arima shows up, and they have that cool shot of like, here comes the death. Like the corridor up to Hinami, and then luckily we get the save at the end where he's like, "I will take her as my pet."
Heise lies about basically being like, if you defeat a ghoul, you get ownership over them.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, I cornered her." Yeah, it is.
Can we address real quick how like lax this organization is with like basic common sense?
Just gets like carte blanche because he's the strongest guy. He just gets to be like, "I want to turn this ghoul into a guy," or "I want to let him do this," or "I want to fight on the table." Sure, let Urie get the operation. Fuck it.
Arima takes a pet ghoul, and now his pet ghoul wants a pet ghoul.
Well, I guess you don't want to fuck like stuff with Arima because he is really the only true trump card the Doves have, because all their other strong characters, like, they're strong,
they're
but
not even on this level.
Yeah, exactly. They might just die. There's a lot of strong ghouls, like,
right. On the Arima stuff, I also really like this very thought section where we get this older investigator who's like reflecting back on how he met Arima and was like very disillusioned by his own power level.
Yeah, before he gets his head ripped off like a pineapple.
He manages to defeat like this other strong ghoul that they were fighting, and while he is like being pleased with himself, he just gets his head ripped off by Takizawa.
That sucks. Oh, also, it is very Looney Tunes how Takizawa just like leaps out of a window. Like, he just
little guy.
Yeah, that's I expected hearing like I don't know what cartoon it's from, but like that like run away like sound when he does that.
It's Tom and Jerry.
I think that was Woody. I think that was Woody. Oh, I thought you just did Woody Woodpecker.
I was doing it might be Woody Woodpecker, I don't know, but yeah, just like that silly like Tex Avery like runaway sound as he jumps out of a window. I did imagine hear like the cat screech noise and the tires and it like runs out the window. But yeah, okay, I guess he got away to fight. I'll catch you next time, you rascally Kaneki.
Yeah. Your little ghoul too. Yeah, okay, I do think we've probably.
I think
we're ready to wrap up Tokyo Ghoul, I think.
But good moments. I didnn mention one last thing. That was a great scene when Juzu was like, "I don't hold a grudge against you, torturous evil ghoul that fucked my life," and they have that moment where at the last minute they like shout like, "I never left you, you little fucking piece," and then they get killed by the 13th Squad. And they're like, That was a good final scene.
They like cover Suzuya's ears so he doesn't hear anything.
That was good. Okay, now let's go. Which one do we do now? I'll let you have Kurosawa so you can talk.
Okay. I mean, Nausicaä's kind of like the heaviest one probably at this point. So, yeah, strongest Kurosawa, one of my favorite mangas.
Known as Ghoul's biography or alternate universe.
Hey, that's true. Oh, Michi, were you perhaps thinking that while reading?
Well, obviously.
Hey.
I mean, I don't know if you want my thoughts on it yet.
You know what? Sure, go for it. Because I feel like this is just going to be me versus you. So, go ahead. Start. Throw your jab out. See what happens.
A long time ago, I read like the first 5 chapters of this, probably on your recommendation, and just kind of like dropped slowly off it. And this time I was worried. I was like worried reading the first few chapters, where I was like, what's the big deal? I mean, like, I get this. I get liking this if you're as sad of a loser as this guy. I totally get that. Like, yeah, if you're if you're just like stuck in this guy's shitty life and work in construction or something, this is probably really. I just kept thinking of like that like Senor Pello meme where he's like, "Ha, that is relatable," and he like points and being like, "Yeah, okay, I get that this is like relatable, and I have felt sometimes similarly somewhat to how this guy is, but like I don't see myself much in him. He's a very different human than me." And I was like, okay, so what's the big deal? He does like he does silly moments where he fucks up, where he does goofy things, where he brings beers and does the fish thing, and then he gets angry and is an asshole, and then it happened a few times during that first bit. And I was like, I don't know if I'm into this. I was like, it doesn't hook me, obviously, with the art style of it. And this isn't even just the thing of like, yeah, I know this. I'm a big fan of Kaiji, and I know this guy's art style is very, very unique, idiosyncratic thing. But even outside of that, he is kind of just jank. We see how he draws normal humans, like during the football game at the start, and they look like pretty bad. And I'm just like, okay, this is like an ugly manga about like a lame dude doing like a shitty job, and it's like for old fags. But there were little moments of greatness early on, and there were moments where I was like, that's fun, that's endearing, and that is I'm not entirely without human emotion. And and the moment where it's turned around a bit for me probably was around like chapter 7, I think, and that was like when I think it was like the when he gets his day off, when it's Sunday, and he sits around and he's like, what the fuck do I do? And he just like sits around like drinking beer and smoking, and he's like, I could go back to sleep again, but he's like, nah. So he goes out and he gets his knife sharpened. That's a funny scene where the guy thinks he's gonna mug him.
Oh god.
And he buys candy. And then he goes and he laments at how he's not even allowed to sit near little kids' parks and watch them because people think he's creepy wherever he goes, because he looks like Like he might be up to no good. And then we have the most harrowing, like heart in my throat, like stretch of pages where I was like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, this is so bad. Like,
Yeah.
he just like picks up a kid and he's like running around, and I'm like, oh my god, stop. Every page I'm like wincing. And then
this is what, yeah.
he's like
Keep
lying on
going,
the park, and I'm like, could this get any worse? He's like got his hands on the kid's butt, and he's like having weird romantic dreams, and he wakes up with the cops, and I'm like, it's fucking over. It's got. How is this gonna like? I was so scared that his coworkers were somehow gonna like learn about this, and the manga is about him becoming more and more like rejected by society, and people just think worse and worse of him. And I was like, this is so terrible. But I was like, but then it turned around. Yeah, go on, talk about that before I talk about the last like stretch.
I mean, this is one of the most memorable chapters. There's the early stuff with Kurosawa focuses a lot more than the later stuff. I mean, he's a bumbling fuck up the entire time, but the early stuff with Kurosawa focuses much more on his inexplicable bad decisions and inability to succeed at simple tasks.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you the other two I'm thinking of when we get there.
Okay.
But yeah, this is one of the most memorable chapters because it's just so incomprehensible. It's like, on what planet was this going to work out well?
Yeah.
Where he's like, I should know what I should do because I have time off. I'll go get my knives sharpened, and I'll buy a backpack full of lollipops because I really like those. And then
I was like, this is Green. This is what Green would do. Green would buy a fuck ton of candy and just sharpen his knife for no reason and just go around and try and do something stupid.
And then he sees a kid where he like kind of maybe knows who the
just,
parents sort of.
He thinks he knows his family.
Well, it's like
but,
you left him behind when those guys like leave on a bike, and then he's like sees the name and he's like, I think I know who this is, and like goes there, and then he has all these moments. He has these moments where he constantly like lets out his frustration and like shouts at people, and then he like shouts at the kid and makes him cry, and then he's like, no. What have I done? This makes it worse.
He gives him a lollipop and thinks, stupid kid.
He calls everyone a retard in the translation I read. Yeah, it's like an old translation.
It's a very virtuosic depiction of like a kind of social ineptness that's hard to imagine a real person having.
Yeah.
And then of course he sees the kid on the side of the road and is like, oh my god, there's a lost kid. I better return them. Not realizing there's a hedge there and there's a playground on the other side of the hedge.
And he was just opining about how he looks suspicious in many places and how like he like needs to be careful and watch himself or else he might get in trouble. And now he's like carting a kid around like an unconscious child.
Yeah, he's like, how about I just make things worse for no reason?
Yeah, over and over.
At the moment where the cops open his backpack with the knife.
God, I was like, there's no coming back from this. It looked bad enough. And then Mom is like, thank God, my child. And it's like, there's no explaining this. It doesn't matter what you say. And instead of explaining it, he goes like, what's the big deal? Yeah. It's like, I was just having you don't understand the connection I had. I was having a fun time with this child.
For what crime? Playing with a child? A succulent Chinese child?
Yeah.
Are
you here to fondle my limp penis?
I mean, this is the chapter. It's one of the most memorable chapters, just because this is when he goes
like
the
This
farthest.
was like the turnaround for me. Yeah.
This is when he goes like as far with the concept as he possibly can without you completely rejecting it as insane, because like this would never happen, or if this did happen, someone would go to jail. And at the end they just kind of punt by being like, oh, you're not getting arrested, we just questioned you, and they sent him. I guess his explanation was so sincere, they're like, oh, I guess there are people that stupid in the world. It was bad. These early chapters are interesting because they are 100% necessary for the rest of the story and for what happens. There's just no way around it. Like you seriously need these chapters, but
well,
I don't. But they're kind of unique because like I end this because. I mean, I've been thinking actually on the off chance someone does watch this, we should like explain things a little bit. But yeah, it just opens with Kurosawa. He has like a minor, like the smallest spiritual awakening someone could have, where he just is watching sports and realizes, hey, there's no such thing as being moved or being expired. Just life is just life, I guess. Which is like the shittiest existential realization ever.
It kind of reminded me of Pun Pun. If we're making this a rich tapestry of all the manga we've been reading. But like specifically when Pun Pun was like 15 and he's hanging out with the teenagers and he's going chaka chaka, and he says like I literally feel like no connection to anyone here, but he just had like a smile on his face and he's like, I'm here in the middle of this party and I never felt more alone.
Yeah, I mean, this is extremely punished. My take on Kurosawa is like Japan's answer to the Book of Job. It's like this. I know it's hard to believe now, but to me, Kurosawa becomes this like incredible statement on like the nature of suffering and like the meaning and like the worth of a human life.
It's like a parable
and all this stuff.
You.
It's legit like a religious story by the end.
Okay.
But you have to start with the inane bullshit of him being a socially awkward fuck up who just trips over himself. Because I ended this, where it starts with Kurosawa is just such a loser. People at work, they treat him okay, but they all see him as kind of a schlubby, weird guy. They don't really like that much.
It's sad because initially you think it might just be his mind, and actually everyone is as friendly as Akamatsu or something. But no, then you get like kind of hurtful scenes where he overhears stuff, or where you just get scenes of the workers and they do talk about him like they do kind of see him as a loser, and it's like it's not as cruel as he imagined it sometimes, but he is kind of right that like he's not wrong in his assertion of how people see him completely. And it's like, I think the reason I dropped off the first time I tried reading this around like chapter 5 before I got to that like turnaround one was kind of that I view this as like, this is like watching The Office but without the jokes. Like it's like without not that it doesn't have like funny moments in it and stuff, but it's like The Office is really fucking funny, and that's like what makes you put up with how cringily you're wincing and how sad and depressing everyone's lives are, and how like it's like uncomfortable to watch people do these certain things. And it's like, this is just like uncomfortably watching this man embarrass himself over and over, and just in this like depressing world of assholes. And you're just, why would I read this? Why would anyone write this? Was like my idea. Like, this is like, why am I reading this, and why would he write this?
Well, I mean, that's kind of the whole thing, isn't it? Like, there are people like this, and this is an element of life, and this is a type of person that the world is legit fucking full of.
Oh, for sure.
But you never really hear their story because they're worthless, like shitty people that everyone hates, and why would you listen to their story? Like, you don't talk to them in real life.
It's like, are there many manga about just like an office cubicle worker just carrying on his job like over and over again until like the last chapter he dies? Like no. It's like, yeah, there's lots of these people in the world, but it takes a special. It's especially weird like knowing it's the Kaiji guy for me, because it's like Kaiji is this high concept, exciting, page burning like game of stakes thing, and this one is like there are no stakes. Like it's that it is like inconsequential. I'm sure I'll be putting my foot in my mouth as I go forward, but still I'm not that worried about like saying what the general statement of most people's regard to it would be, because I don't expect this to ever become like a favorite or to have my mind completely like blown, but I expect this to become more and more enjoyable and interesting and cathartic. Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's going to be your favorite for many reasons. I don't think it's your thing emotionally. I don't think it's your thing artistically obvious. It's barely my thing artistically. This is hard to read in places because the characters are just so chonky.
Yeah.
Speaking of like awkward things, unlike Kaiji, which has almost no female characters and none at all for the first long stretch of it, there are some female characters in this, and watching him try to draw what is supposed to be an attractive female character is just very surreal. There's one of the weird moments that I was mentioning earlier.
Taro the robot looks better than most characters. Like
yeah. Because he's supposed that's actually a good point, because he's supposed to look like a stereotypical normal person.
Yeah, even his like proportions, not just his face, like his proportions and his stance and poses like look better.
Yeah, there's gonna be a chapter a bit later where a girl who's probably like 13 tries to like seductively like come up.
Oh god.
And it's the most you just fucking wait, man. You're gonna be flabbergasted. But it's watching him try to like depict that is the most jank thing, because like what you're seeing and what it's supposed to be is so fucking far apart. But Kurosawa, yeah, it starts good. It's great too, because Kurosawa is extremely self-aware, and it doesn't help him at all.
It's like he realizes he's the fucked up loser everyone feels uncomfortable around, and he realizes he like predicts many times what people's reactions would be to awkward situations, and he's like, oh, they're good kids, and I don't want to be imposed, and he realizes that like the guy who he sees as his rival is like a legitimately nice man who meant nothing by it a lot of the time.
Yeah, like he's better than Kurosawa, and he deserves to have
more. But it doesn't change how frustrating and infuriating and painful his life is.
Because Kurosawa's only thing is that he's kind of good at his construction job. At various points they say that Kurosawa's only real strength is his literal strength. Like, he is absurdly strong even for a construction worker.
More than the 3 cement bags, as he mentions to himself.
And he's like kind of good just from his experience, because he's been doing the same job for 30 years almost. But yeah, there's this like much younger, super handsome other construction chief who has already gotten all these qualifications Kurosawa never got.
Right. He's got all the licenses.
And he has a young, gorgeous wife, and everyone loves him, and he
kids.
just effortlessly can like command the respect of other people. And it just
like
sucks.
He humbly sacrifices himself without making a big deal out of it.
And he's super nice to Kurosawa too, which is... Oh god, yeah, his scheme with the fish, where I was thinking about this. Remember
That's
my
like when I was the most like, I don't know if this is for me, man.
Remember a while ago when I had this idea that my work situation will be better if I buy a football, and you were like, you were trying to gently convince me that maybe you're. Actually, you just kind of said like, you know what, fuck it, do it. Tell me if it's worth it at the end.
This reminded me of like you and the lollipop theory. Like reminded me of like that Halloween where you bought like a fuck ton of candy, and we're like, I'll cover all bases. And it's like, I'll buy all the fish.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, no, you'll have to buy the 2 that you've bought. No, all the fish.
Yeah, like I mean, I do Kurosawa type stuff. Michi is alluding to. One time for like the first time I was expecting trick-or-treaters because I lived in a subdivision, for the first time. I was like, well, I know I need candy. How much candy do you have? And I like looked at one of the store baskets in, the grocery store, and I thought, that's about the size of a candy container. So if I fill that with candy, it'll be an appropriate amount of candy. And then I filled that with candy and went. And when I went to the checkout area, the lady just said like, oh, well, you won Halloween. And like, oh, god damn it, I fucked up.
And how much of that did you end up giving out?
Probably like 8%.
Shit.
And so I had like just like $90 worth of candy in my fridge for the next 3 months. Well, I was like, well, it's better to have too much than too little. So I did what I always do, and what I guess he did. I just bought an amount of candy that I thought it was like literally impossible that I would run out, but that also meant I had way too much. I learned better last Halloween, although I did run out. I should have bought that much candy last Halloween. I probably would have given it away. God damn it. Yeah, but Kurosawa, he just has like this brilliant plan. It's like, oh man, if I put a piece of fried fish in the lunch boxes, then everyone's gonna be like, hey, there's not usually fried fish in here. Why is there fried fish? And then he plans out how he's going to very humbly acknowledge that he's the one who did it after it becomes inevitable that they're going to find out. And then he'll like, rub the back of his head and be like, ah, shucks, you guys, I didn't want to make a big deal out of it.
Yeah.
and then
that was
he plans things out way too far and it never goes that way.
Well, he just doesn't account for any deviance from his plan. Like, that's the issue. Like, that's like in chess, like planning just a strategy, just assuming all the moves will just be that one and not looking at any different moves that might happen. It's like, things could only go this one way. There's no point considering how else they might happen. It's like, that was very Bocchi the Rock, the first one, when he like is giving hints for people to realize that it's his birthday. He's like doing like the horoscope thing, and he like marks the calendar. Like, that was very Bocchi, like where she like is like, I know, I'll take my. I even started wearing my band T-shirt, hoping people would talk to me, and I started. Then she takes her guitar to school, which which granted does actually work, but not in the intended way. But that is like something I find relatable. I think that's like something I also did like in high school, like wear T-shirts or like flaunt. I was like reading a book in the hopes that someone might like come up to me and notice I was reading a particular manga or something, which actually does work sometimes, to be fair. I mean, that's why it's such a tempting strategy, because the world is full of stories of people that is how they met someone as a random thing. The problem is it's not a viable strategy. It's just kind of something that has to happen. Just it might happen, but it's like you can't count on it for anything.
Oh god,
put my name on the calendar. It's like, okay. It's like,
and then
I noticed your name was on the calendar. It's like probably a job.
Then he's staying around and he just starts reading the astrology section, thinking
he's
that
like,
people might figure out it's his birthday.
And then the guy's like, what sign are you? It's like, you don't even know my sign, bastard. I love how he just like calls everyone a retard in his mind, like when they don't do anything. He's like, he wants all these people to be his friends, and he's like, oh, they're the good kids. And he's like, you retards, how could you not notice the fish?
That's like his most undoing character trait is his pettiness.
Exactly. Like he bursts. He snaps at the kid who wants to go play his video game and get the Happy Meal. Like I
love the fucking Happy Meal discussion.
That's great. He shouts at the people when he notices that he doesn't have a meal for him. He, instead of like just taking a second to think and be like, well, I'll look around or I'll ask, or something, he immediately snaps like, your superior is here without his meal while you eat your fucking fish. And the guy's sitting like there like a fucking monk on the things, being like, oh, I didn't have one either.
I saw that we were out and I figured someone just miscounted. I didn't make a big
I did hate like that like that was enough for me. I did hate the added layer of like the guy thinking that he had stolen. I am thankful he added the extra bit of like explaining that got clarified. Like, I would have been pissed off if they were just mad at him forever over that.
Worse though, because the whole thing is like, he's like, oh, I'll put the fish in there to give everyone a treat, and then like he gets mad that they don't realize it was him, but then he's so petty about his food that, oh, this is a weird thing too.
I'm just happy that it got clarified that
quick,
he wasn't a super asshole. Yeah.
This is important though. Like, he's looking around at everyone, mad that they're not figuring out what's up with him, which you could only do if you paid attention to like very small things he was doing and connected the dots. Then someone actually does do that. There was one guy there that was watching Kurosawa, like wondering what his problem was. But he deduced that Kurosawa stole the other manager's fish to be an asshole.
Yeah. And it's also great.
And then they fucking leave him there. They pull out of the fucking lot and don't take him in the van, and he has to sleep at the job site.
Great, it's like that PSA where the guy runs off without his boss.
The Craig Schinkel workplace PSA where he gets chided, then peels off and leaves the boss there, which has happened to me before. It was in a slightly different context.
I wonder why you like this manga.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've told the story before, but my supervisor just like was looking for a paintbrush, couldn't find one, yelled, "I ain't got time for this shit," and peeled out of the parking lot. And I was just there. Like, he didn't tell me where he was going.
Very cool.
Hold on.
Sorry.
But then he gets left there, and he puts the traffic directing doll Taro under the blanket
with him.
and eats all the extra fish, which is good that he has that.
I mean, the details are
But
peak,
then a bit later, they figured out that he was the one who brought the fish, and it was all a misunderstanding. But his coworkers just look at each other and go, "It's actually really weird and creepy
they think
that
it's
whole
creepy.
thing happened."
Yeah, I love that. They're like, "Oh God, yeah, is he gonna poison us someday?" Like that's.
And the other part of that too was his first scheme was like bring a bunch of beer while they're working and just tell everyone, "Hey, you guys, it looks like rains. Let's just tell them it rained, and we can drink a bunch of beer." And they looked around. It's like if he had done this at like 3 p.m. that would have been cool, but like it's 11. Like we can't stop working now. It's not fucking raining. We can't just get drunk in the middle of the day because the supervisor gave us beer. We'll get fucking fired.
Yeah.
But then the one guy who does drink the beer, he decides, oh, this is my best friend now, and like tries to buy his friendship.
But then he's like, oh, never mind. This guy is literally a retarded child. Like
I think he is kind of.
I mean, he keeps like drooling and there's snot coming out. He's literally a snot-nosed punk. Like, also to add to the fish thing, it's hilarious that there's like a romantic undercurrent to it, where it's like a heart fish, and then he hopes that people will like talk to him, and he'll be like, ah, yes, may this. He's like weirdly like romantic and girly in ways where he like cares about horoscopes, sort of. I mean, I know that was like a ploy to get people to ask him, but I know
he definitely has like a feminine.
He has like a weird
side.
like fantasizing about like them talking about like, oh, this will give you luck in your love life, and giggling about it, and then everyone clapped, and it's like,
well, he thinks to himself, man, it'd be great if I was one of those guys at work that just like makes the cool little jokes that become memes and in jokes.
Oh,
then a bit later, the panty shot scene,
God damn,
where some weird old guy just goes like, "Man, I love it."
This is so green. Like, just have the guy in the middle be like,
"How dare you?"
Come on.
But yeah, some weird old guy on the job site just says, "Man, I love it in summer when like you're walking and you just look up the stairs and you see a girl's panties, like even if they're like middle schoolers or something, that's fine." And then. Or does he say elementary even? I don't even remember.
No, he says high school, even a middle schooler is fine. And then they all look at him in abject horror. And then he has like this weird philosophical thing where he's like, it's like a dandelion seeing the beauty of life.
Well, he says it's not even necessarily a sexual thing. It's just cool, you know? And they're all like, yeah, man, you shouldn't say that out loud.
Yeah.
But then a guy next to him like says like, oh, like something's like
uplifting,
because he says like
boner?
it lifts up the skirt. It's like, it's lifting up your pants too, you know what I'm saying? And Kurosawa's like the only one to laugh. Then that guy just decides Kurosawa's the guy who laughs at all his fucking jokes.
It just jumps up.
And Kurosawa gets roped into like a constant like comedy routine thing with this guy he hates.
I do get the like I do get the like the appeal of this manga partially has to be that it is full of like a bunch of incredibly real scenes and moments that you will not see in any other media, but you're totally like, oh god, that is something that, like, he probably hits a chord with a lot of people with lots of scenes and just be like, oh, that's totally something I have experienced in my life. Like that's like a moment that's happened to me that I have never seen mentioned or addressed in anything I've ever consumed. It's like he's taking all these like underappreciated aspects of real life and moments and like giving them the spotlight, kind of. Yeah,
I've seen all this. I've seen so much of this shit. Like, I mean, I've worked construction and weird jobs and shit. I have bought people food, and like after I like offered, it immediately became apparent like it was kind of weird that I offered to buy them food.
Yeah. I mean, lots of people have had moments of like being in a scenario where they want everyone to like where they find it shocking that no one around them realizes it's their birthday, because it's like it's like for the most of your life that's like something that you don't have to worry about, and then there might be some weird scenario where you like get a new job or something and you get acquainted with people, but it's like a thing where you kind of drop hints but you're like kind of sad that no one that you're alone on your birthday or something, and that happens.
To me, it definitely is relatable.
Yeah.
Like I think it strikes like a chord with everyone who's like slightly or more than slightly awkward
Antisocial.
in social situations and stuff like that.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean,
Go, Jaws. Go.
you mentioned Bochi, and yeah, it's similar in some aspects.
Yeah, he's a bit Bochi-ish in that he finds it very awkward. Obviously, they're complete opposite scales of their life, yeah.
How many characters like this do you ever see in fiction? Not like I'm a quirk chungus, cute 12-year-old who's afraid of guys or something, but an actual socially awkward, just normal person.
Yeah, and the reversal with Bochi, the joke is that she is a lot of the things she's afraid of just aren't true, and she's obviously very cute and likable, and everyone wants to be her friend, and she has loads of potential and talent. Whereas this guy, he's worried about all the same things, but in his case, they're just true. he's just worried about being an old, washed up, useless, talentless, creepy old man, and that's exactly how everyone sees him, and that's basically what he is. But he does have a untapped potential and value in him and that's what is hurting his soul. Yeah, that's like him feeling pangs of pain about this means he's much more human than a lot of the people who he's assuming he is like the real people that he's afraid that he's like are like the shitty other people at the construction job, like the guys who yell at him and tell him he's a useless piece of shit, and the drivers who tell him to fuck off and shit. Like that's
I mean, that's kind of the point. That's why I ended it where I did.
Yeah, it's a good
because
ending
the whole thing is like he fucks up at his job, and then he gets sent. Oh, that's so real too. Like the old senile owner of the company pulls him aside and says we have a special job just for you, and it's just to make him stand on the street and be a flagger.
And he got kicked out of the site for it seems like he fucked up so bad with the lunch thing that his workers, they were giving him the cold shoulder, and now they're angry at him, and they've gotten him replaced by the nice guy kind of thing, and this just sucks. He was already in a bad position, and trying to make it good made it worse.
And then the interesting thing is at the end. Oh, also flaggers do get hit by cars fairly often.
Oh, God,
that's a real
that was
thing.
fucking scary.
It's a super low skill job, but they actually get paid a bit better than you would expect, because 1 out of 100 of them will just get smeared by a fucking car.
Again, was hilarious because me and Green recently saw, what was the two things? We saw Medalist, and then we saw some other thing where someone has to get I had to do a shitty job to get through this, and every time it's that same job. That's the go-to Japanese media. It shows up in so much stuff. It's in
NHK too.
It's in Punpun as well.
Yeah. Oh, maybe it was Punpun I was thinking of. Yeah, exactly. But just have the guy sit and eat his lunch sadly on the roadside and just be shucks, I dream of better days than being a traffic cone guy.
That's probably it too. Because it's like the best paying job that takes no skills, because again it's dangerous.
What would be the Western equivalent to that?
Being a flaggers
working
are
at McDonald's here, I guess is a common one. Just being I have to work the drive-through. This sucks. Or working at the till at the supermarket or something. Yeah,
that's a good one. It is crazy because he ends up alone, but then the ending is he learns that there's been an accident, and that the robot that is his only friend in the world.
Yeah, that was great. That was
damaged.
My favorite moment. Even I, stony-hearted as I am, could not help but feel emotion, and then all the guys start tearing up too.
Yeah,
and they hug around him. Yeah.
It's like what you just said. He has hidden potential. This is Kurosawa keeps having these schemes to be cooler, to show how cool and smart and generous he is when he is not any of those things. At least in this context,
he's a nice guy. His outbursts are due to his prolonged loneliness and frustration, and not him being a bad person.
But then he tries to look cool in front of people, but then him breaking down and revealing how cringy and emotional and weak he actually is is what breaks the seal kind of on other people like getting a little peek into who he actually is and like having some interest. And that's interesting, because him like crying and holding the robot is what finally actually gets the people around him to be at least interested in what's up with him.
And you're like, and it's like a mixed scene because initially he seems like they think he's drunk because he's so like delirious with a fever and he's being weird, and you're like, oh, is he just being kind of like crazily obstinate and he's not in his right mind? But then it seems like he like it's like, no, this is really just like him being honest in front of other people because of his loss of inhibitions in this. It's interesting.
I am
but oh well.
I mean, I am interested to see how you're going to respond to this. If it's too negative, I'm going to be mad, so fucking watch it.
Well, I mean, I did enjoy the last, like, chapters, like, 7 through 11. Like, the last bit, I was more engaged than... I was just worried that it would just be, like, more of just, like, his schemes at the construction site and him.
I mean, it's not really that repetitive because it's only happened twice. But you think like after the beer thing, you have the fish thing, and you may think like, oh, it's going to continue like that, but it doesn't. I think I've read like the first 20-something chapters, or like I don't know, more than a year, 2 years ago on Green's recommendation before. I also dropped it.
Kurosawa, it's like what I did with Tokyo Ghoul. Kurosawa, it'll probably take a bit to where we really hit, its stride. I really like this early stuff, but Kurosawa has actually a very strong arc. Like it is not 100 chapters of this.
Okay.
Stuff like this always happens because he's a fucking idiot.
Sure.
But Kurosawa. But like even right now, we're pulling out of the initial phase where it's just he's a fucking stupid asshole fuck up, and then it starts sweeping into like the other elements that come in. And to entice you, I'll say, you know how his name is Kurosawa?
Yes.
Yeah. Does that intrigue you?
Well, like Akira Kurosawa, or like the director Kurosawa?
Yeah. Like the director Kurosawa. Yeah.
Oh, that's very cool.
Because it's samurai imagery. I want what could that be?
I see. It's like a Ronin.
But I'll stop talking in a second. But the final. Be careful not to look up like spoilers. Damn it.
What else should I do?
I don't know. Play with your dick.
Yes.
I'm sorry. That was mean. See, that's
something mean. I'm not reading the manga anymore.
But just very quickly, like you compared it to or contrasted with Kaiji earlier.
Yes.
I think this is a very good companion to Kaiji because it's the two sides of male worthlessness. Like Kaiji is like a young, desperate man who's like he's in so deep that he's never going to fix things by playing it safe. So he just goes like, fuck it, we ball. And he just takes crazy risks being like, okay, either I'm going to die or I'm going to get out of this. Let's see what happens. Which is where some people go. Then Kurosawa is the other side of male failure, where he's someone who played it safe his whole life, but he wasn't valuable enough as a person for playing it safe to matter because who he was just wasn't good enough.
Yeah.
So now he's past the point where playing it safe could have worked out, and he's just a fucking old guy with nothing. So it's like the two sides of like how men waste their lives, like being a fucking piece of shit who takes a bunch of crazy risks and being a guy who just doesn't take any risks and then wakes up one day and he's like, fuck.
Yeah.
I'm done talking.
No, that's a good point. And I mean, they both rock the mullet.
Hell yeah.
I don't have a lot more to say. I mean, this was not a very dense stretch of chapters, but it was the initial stretch. Yeah.
I'll throw you a curveball next time.
Oh my god. Well,
300 chapters. How many chapters does Kaiji have?
Not Kaiji.
Kaiji or Kurosawa?
Yeah.
Do you mean Kurosawa?
Yeah, what did I say? Kaiji. I said,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I think it's you could have plausibly meant Kaiji. I think it's around 100 or like 120.
I think it's a bit over 100.
I might be off. It's not a super long manga, but it's a medium
I think I remember
manga.
Spotting that when I added it to my mal. It was like 100 and a little. Yeah.
Already.
Well, fuck. You know what other manga is fun? That's called Nausicaä of the Valley of the Wind.
North is from the wind.
Yeah, by the unknown mangaka Hayao Miyazaki. Yeah, never heard of him.
You joke, but I mean, kind of.
Kind of. I mean,
who has read the Miyazaki manga?
I mean, that's like one of my favorite things about it is being like, yeah, okay, Miyazaki's a great director, sure. He's a fucking amazing, but he was an amazing mangaka. Just before
to be fair, I have not seen many Ghibli movies, but I basically know them by osmosis, at least partially. So, and I just have to say, this is way better than Ghibli movies.
I mean, I love many Ghibli movies, and I'm a big fan, including of the Nausicaä movie. But yeah, this is like one of my favorite mangas ever for a reason. Like no
shit out of any of the new stuff any stuff that I haven't like previously read or watched in the latest, I don't know, month or more. This is definitely the best new discovery I've made.
I'm glad you like it. Yeah, it's a big hole in people's like, just like general fandom. It's such a weird, because it's like a big thing. It has these deluxe editions. It's not hard to, it's not that hard to obtain, but it's just like a weird like kind of. It came out at a time when manga wasn't being that serviced in the West, and his name kind of eclipsed, all the other things kind of eclipsed this, and it kind of reminds me of like Satoshi Kon. Like Satoshi Kon has a bunch of very good manga too that people just don't talk about because it's all about Paranoia Agent and Perfect Blue and stuff. This is an immense fucking work. This is like the sheer scope of it is what baffles me. Like, it's just like the insane amount of detail. There's just so much. Like every single page, he uses like so many little panels, and every one of them is like a little fucking like perfect illustration. Like it has like this storybook perfect painting vibe to it, and he just does not skimp on anything, like constantly. There's so many.
Ironically, like both in terms of art and in terms of story, the thing it reminds me the most of is Golden Age arc. Like that's the vibe I get from it.
Like I was getting it was reminding me a lot of like it like the scale and scope of it. It's like Lord of the Rings, like the amount of like things going on. It's like there's constantly just like hundreds of multitudes of people and plants and aircraft and monsters and bugs everywhere, and like it like it just feels exhausting, like having to tackle something of this and not shying away from it, not wanting to take any shortcuts. Like he just wants to represent this like world as faithfully as it is in his mind, and it's all just the perfect vehicle for getting to draw his waifu, basically, which is what makes it even better. Like, it's just a fucking really well done fantasy story with an incredibly unique setting where he just thought of so many little, like the attention to detail is what really clinches it too, where he's thought of every little tiny thing of mechanics and materials and how this world works, and in comparison to being like this weird post-apocalypse. But yeah, man, we should get into
everything,
into specifics, I guess.
Before that, actually the most remarkable thing about it is the pacing. This thing is so fucking fast that it's almost too fast.
Oh yeah, lots of stuff. Yeah, so much stuff happens. I was unclear how to divide it, because I was like, I kind of gave you guys a bit too much homework, but it was like, because I was thinking like, okay, I was thinking like, okay, in terms of general, like, generally it's like each chapter is like about 20 pages of normal stuff we do. And I was like, okay, let's do like 10 chapters and then a bit. I was like, the first volume felt a bit short. So I was like, okay, let's just do 2 like we did with Soul Eater and stuff. But I was like, I forgot how dense pages are like with this, I forgot. Oh yeah, every page has like way more panels than your regular manga, and there's some stretches are very dialogue heavy, but then some stretches are almost dialogueless. So it was tricky to like put it like dole it out evenly, but I was happy with how much stuff happens.
I'm wondering,
what, Josh?
Yeah, I'm wondering how you read it, because first, when Michi offered the file, I was happy and I was thinking, oh yeah, finally I don't have to bother with like slow loading images and stuff, only to like realize that the scans are exactly the scans that I dropped years ago because of the quality. So I did manage to find.
Is that the one I dropped? I dropped like a really HD one, didn't I?
I mean, it either something fucked up on my end, but it does
Unless
really
I dropped
not
the wrong file. I got the screenshots I took today for the thumbnails were from the really HD copy I have. But if you manage to find a good one, that's good. I have the big.
It takes me like reading it there takes me way longer than it should, because I have to wait for images.
Well, I'll resend the files somehow to see. Yeah, I have the big hardcover omnibus edition, which I urge people to get if they like this. Like it's like $40, and it's well worth like every cent. Like you just get this huge amount of manga, and it looks great.
It's just my reader that fucks up the images.
It might be your reader scale. Yeah.
I definitely did not notice an issue with quality. I will, with the caveat, I did not zoom in super far.
Okay.
So that might have smoothed things out.
I mean, for me, it looks probably like even worse from a distance.
Well, we'll look into this, but there's not much to say. But with the art style, Michi may or may not try to chide me here. I was kind of amazed at how not conventionally manga the art style was.
Oh no,
and it
totally.
It really seemed like a middle ground between what we think of as manga art style now, or I guess like 30 years ago, and like older Western stuff. Like, I hesitate to bring up Prince Valiant because you know that so much more than me. But like especially the way he draws foliage. And I like how he has a lot of, disconnected, lost and found lines, and just like little pockets of shadow to imply the shape of things sometimes, rather than, super detail.
Yes.
It really looked like old-fashioned, pen and ink drawings, even from like the early 1900s in places.
Yeah, absolutely. And it has like a storybook, illustrated book feel to it. Yeah.
I was kind of captivated, and it also reminds me, part of what makes some of the big hitters of the anime manga world so good is they're not drawing entirely from domestic material. Like, it's not completely incestuous like a lot of light novels are and stuff like that. They actually were drawing from a pretty broad view of humanity.
Exactly.
Like how Mira loves M.C. Escher and stuff like that.
Yeah, totally. No, I think you've hit it perfectly spot on. I'm glad you brought this up, but I would have anyway. Like, yeah, this is something I think Miyazaki and his good friend Ano especially have harped on a lot about, is like the worst thing about anime and manga is being influenced by just anime and manga. Like, they were always fans of outside influences. Yeah, the Prince Valiant one is a strong one. Yeah, I see a lot of like 19th century illustration, like older comics, like you were saying, like old Western ones from that era, more detailed, even a bit Little Nemo. And the big one that I'm skirting around not mentioning that you see in the first fucking panel is fucking Moebius. Like, Miyazaki is a huge fucking Moebius fan. He like contributed to the memorial book when he died. And this first shot is literally just the first opening page of Arzak, the seminal Moebius comic. And he's obviously very influenced by this. Yeah, it's the perfect middle ground bit where it's still manga, but it's so unique and interesting, and it gains so much strength from both these things, where it has like the dynamic posing and silhouetting and fluidity of manga, and I like the faces, and then it has the detail and realism and kind of broadness of of the more Western style and the shading and all that stuff. Yeah, it's a joy to look at. It's really charming.
Yeah, like all the designs, both monster vehicles, armors,
Oh
weapons, is
god,
just
yeah.
distinct for every faction and
Yeah,
every
there's so much. He even he draws little different. He comes up with different alphabets for the different races when they're speaking in their tongue. Oh, that's a spoiler. Then when
no,
they're
it's not a spoiler.
whatever.
We do see.
But yeah, yeah, like I say, the amount of detail and work is just like, I don't know like at what pace these came out. I don't know how many years of research went into this. I don't know and even know exactly how old he was. But this is like in the 80s, like early Miyazaki stuff, and yeah, it's just like it just he puts so much thought into every little thing. Like characters will constantly give like really interesting little tidbits about just being like, oh yeah, this is made of this material that is from this has this specific property. Oh, they're using the special. He gives thought to like planes have like little flag things that they use depending on what scenarios are. Yeah. The worm handlers are like this like weird little mini faction that are descended from scurriers,
like
really cool.
and
they're like shunned by society, but they have like a weird like culture of their own, and it's like just everything feels so like just like a lived-in world that you're being allowed to peek into.
like,
and yeah,
one like on the same topic, basically, one impressive thing is just it. He's really good at making you understand how fucked up like the whole situation is and has been, by how callous people react to all like the bloodshed and
it gets surprisingly violent. Like outside of Mononoke, you don't see this much bloodshed in Miyazaki stuff normally. Like it's surprising.
I think it's just a straight up war story where, I mean, we have this scene where the guy just guns down parts of his own troops because they need to leave quick and they don't have time.
When the people, when the like, it's like when the spare, like when the heir of that of the, I forget his name, like the prince guy is like in his little thing attacking the Turkmen whatever Termekian like ship, and the guys like fall out of the ship and bash into the other one, and the guy like splattered over the they're like blood, they're all splattered over the things. Or fucking like when the guys attack like the worm camp and they just leave slaughter behind them, or when the guys try to take Lord Yupa and he just slices all their fucking fingers off and just leaves them on the floor like fuck.
I mean, that was actually like quote unquote nice on his part. Like he didn't kill any of them.
That's true. No, but it's like it's just like real like actual war. Like people are fucking squidgy, and you throw a grenade, and people are gonna get fucking murdered. Like shrapnel is gonna fly into people. People's planes, just women and children fall out of the fucking sky and are killed in a fiery inferno. Like it's messed up.
If we go through the order of things in the way they happen, with just a refugee ship basically is just going down and everyone dies. And that's one of the
there's no, and you think like she does this maneuver and you think like, oh, they've managed to save them. They unclogged the rudders and now they can move. And then it's like, oh, meanwhile the bugs were chewing through the fucking wing and it fucking explodes. And it's like, oh shit. And then it have like such tiny details with that where it's like just the logic of the plot is like seamless, like the way it goes through. Like the scenes are like great because like I was thinking of like the details of like, oh, the Princess Kushana lands, the worm guys go out, they sniff out the grave of where Nausicaä and Mito buried the princess, and they bring her back, and then Nausicaä gets mad because they're like, oh, you had those fucking those gross worm guys desecrate a fucking grave to come after the egg thing after me and stuff like that. It's like, man, that's just perfect. Like
this is
story.
This is gonna sound, I don't know how to say this, but one thing that I noticed, even though, viewed from 1,000 feet, like Hayao Miyazaki is obviously kind of like a bit of like a hippie, emancipated, kind of like like very liberal guy in
peaceful
ways. It's interesting that it's a very Japanese take on that, where it's mixed in with like weirdly like old-fashioned or like kind of like conservative views as well, where it's like it's like, oh, there's like the, you know, he has all the environmentalism and feminism and stuff in his story, and, you know, taking care of nature and stuff. But then he's not afraid to like be kind of offensive at the same time. It's like, oh yeah, these gross, dirty bad guys. They're like this weird ethnic group that's descended from the people who fucked it up, you know, and we all hate them.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh yes, the pollution. We must maintain our purity and avoid. Like, it's not just plants are cool. It's like kind of a taboo aversion to like chemicals and pollution and like the need to be clean.
Yes.
Like he has a weird mix of like, I don't know, like very hard-headed, like kind of like old-fashioned views and like very progressive ones at the same time. Yeah. I just notice it because like he manages to be a hippie without being annoying.
I know, it's great. Yeah, I think about that sometimes too. Like, for example, Nausicaä. Nausicaä could be like such a Mary Sue, oh, she's the fucking chosen one, perfect child that can do no wrong. But no, she's not just like some perfectly kind, peaceful, unbelievably, you know, caring person. She also has like moments where she's like disgusted by the worm handlers, and she has like the moment of rage. I love that she actually kills that guy. That's like a clever thing where they drag him away to the hospital, and luckily they don't realize he's dead, and Lord Yupa like intervenes, but she's already stabbed the guy through the neck. And then when she goes to chop the tree to see if there's spores through it, he adds, like, you don't have to do that, but he adds that great moment of her pulling the sword out and seeing there's blood on it and being like, don't think about it, as she cuts into the tree. And it's like, yeah, that's fucking great.
Yeah, I mean, she, like, everyone in this story is like a badass and a hard ass at the same time. But if I were like a person in charge of foreign relationships in Nausicaä's Valley, her like riding out and just shooting at the worm handlers and jumping into the sewers, I would have face palmed so hard. You cannot do this with representatives of the fucking empire.
With a rifle, like flying on a glider. Yeah. Oh god, there's so many great moments and characters too. Like, I just want to like pick and choose this randomly. Okay, I want to say my favorite guy. I love Kurosawa so much. I love that guy. Like, because he shows up and you think he's gonna be like the sneaky, like oh, this guy is just gonna be like a, I don't know, like a worm tongue or something, this conniving, and he is that, but he's also like a badass, like kind of like man who knows how to gain the respect of his troops, and he's weirdly like honorable. He's like this swashbuckling fun guy. I love that, like, the first moment he becomes cool is like he goes down into the mines where they find the giants, the sleeping giant, sort of, and like Kushana has ordered one of the worm handlers to like knock him off, like she's done with her previous advisors probably. I think it's like whoop, and dodges it, is like, hey. He's like constantly like listening into the conversations. A great scene where Kushana like shouts and deafens him, and he's like, fuck,
because both know that they're like trying to outmaneuver the other.
Exactly, and he has like that great, I love that little line of his where he's like, next time I hold you into my arms, it'll be like without the armor on.
I did like that.
That guy's just awesome. He's like a crack pilot, but then he's also like, you women are fucking crazy. He like lands on the sand beach and shit. He's just a really, really fun, interesting character. You just can't help but love the guy. Like, I just grin whenever he's going. I like he's like badass, but he's not like invincible. So during the battlefield, he's constantly like running around like, oh god, I hope I don't get fucking murdered. Like, and he's good at like handling the different like factions. Like, he's not as disgusted by the worm guys as much as the other people. Like,
really from the lower classes.
Yeah, he has an interesting perspective from coming from like he's served for a long time. He's like from a peasant thing, but he's like, oh, I don't know about all that high class stuff, but you know, He knows how to. You can tell he's someone he's kind of like Mustang a bit from FMA, where he's someone who like knows how to handle himself, how to maneuver through the dense political landscape. And it is a very interesting like political setting where it's like you have all this weird stuff with the Empire. She has all these brothers who are conspiring against her. There's the periphery countries, and then there's the Dorok who are loyal to the Holy See.
Like the whole story exists or was started off because of all the political maneuvering that's happening.
But even compared to and I love Golden Age arc obviously, but this is like more in detail and gets more into like the like the specifics of each kingdom much more than Golden Age arc did. Like Golden Age arc is more of a court machination
it's more
thing.
Individual, and here it's more
exactly
based on
like we get right off the bat, we get a literal like big giant world map that you can follow along with the story. Like you can go back and peek at this thing and oh, maybe your copy didn't. I really wonder if I fucked up the file or something. Like, yeah, my copy and the digital copy I have, like the first things it shows, it's like a color map, and then it specifically shows there's a big map of like showing the arrows pointing like, oh yeah, this is the course Kushana is going in. And
no, I don't have any of that.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna find like a thing here of it.
But I mean, we can hunt down the files later, like cause
here it's like a very pretty like like you see this big like nice watercolor he does. You can see here this is Tormekia, this is the periphery ones, that's the Doroks there. Let's see a corruption.
Which at one point it swapped from Dorics to Dorks.
Yeah, there was a couple of mine that said Dork too. I wondered if that was on purpose. They're like, oh yeah, the Dorks are coming. I was like, the Dork Empire. Yeah.
I was very. One thing I was very pleased with, no,
I've not seen this.
Kind of like Berserk. I like how there is stuff going on with the politics, but it's not so fucking complicated. They don't get bogged down in it like certain Tokyo Ghouls I could mention. Like you can just you can pay attention to the politics, but most of the time you can kind of pull back and be like, okay, these are the guys who like Nausicaä. These are the ones who don't like Nausicaä. These are the ones who don't like Nausicaä and are also kind of weird.
Nausicaa herself doesn't understand fully everything that's in play. She is more about realizing that like this is bad because all the nations are kind of heading blindly towards some big apocalyptic conflict without thinking about
simultaneously trying to honor the promise she made.
Yeah, there's all these treaties and things going around, all these different allegiances. People believe in different kind of religious stances. Yeah,
like really tiny criticism is it's never mentioned what war is actually about, but you can just assume all wars are sort of about the same things. But I still would have wished that we would have gotten like a little mention.
I would say generally the dwindling resources of everyone because of the encroaching thing is making everyone kind of make vies for lands.
Like, it's very easy to imagine why it happened. It's just never stated.
The olden treaties and things were made in more peaceful times, where the idea of them standing for forever seemed plausible, and everyone is coming to realize, okay, we can't just forever stick with these treaties that become more and more old and forgotten to us, and eventually everybody's just gonna be okay, that's like a deal made 1,000 years ago, but who was going to give a shit if I conquer all the periphery and make them all my territory anyway? Like, who's going to stop me? Yeah.
I mean, you don't even really need a reason. It's just war happens.
And it happens in cycles of war and corruption and overtaking.
The world is obviously very... I mean, even with the Valley of the Wind, they show that, the weirdness of geography and technology has shattered the world into a bunch of little kingdoms that it's really hard. It's really hard to have a centralized politics in this world because of what's happened.
Yeah.
And when things are decentralized like that, there's just going to be little weird wars that happen. It's like medieval Europe. Like, there's rarely going to be a moment where everyone's at war, but, wars just kind of come and go, and it's what you going to do.
Yeah,
from what
totally.
I
I understand
understood
that
of the
somewhat undercuts the
political-
treaty conceit, but
of the political situation. There's two main empires, and like the Valley of the Wind, and some of the peripheries.
Yeah, there's
are
many peripheries, and then
one empire, and then there is the other empire, which has like many little tribes, and the worm handlers are just in between and are mercenaries.
To be clear, I believe that the Dorok principality, the Dorok principalities are not technically like governed by the holy city and that as its own empire. It's more just that they have ancient treaties and allegiances to the holy one, the same way that the peripheries have an old treaties and allegiances to the Tormekia kingdom, which is big. So that's why
because of the whole council of monks, I thought that they were more direct.
The Dorok are more scattered too, because there's different distinct smaller Dorok tribes, each one of whom has like a sage, and then they are kind of enthralled vaguely to the general, like to the Holy See, which we've only seen very little of. But like, for example, but we see that they're still separate from each other and kind of distant, because when the brother of the emperor shows up, he is very different kind of theming, imagery, mythology, and he kind of views these sages as like heretical bumpkins who are on his side from ancient treaties, but they are not on the same page at all, and they're like outdated compared to him.
Maybe like a good time to speak about the powers, the telepathy, or
there's lots of weird psychic stuff going on in here. It's like Gundam new types kind of. There's something weird going on with the spores. That's like one of the more interesting. I mean, it's all super interesting. It's weird to say, but a very interesting aspect of it is like the will of the kind of the forest and the alms, and the forest of corruption is like a cleansing mechanism. There's those beautiful moments inside of like the crystal kind of sand caves that exist deep within the forests. And then some people have like psychic connections to this.
It becomes poisonous by sucking up all the pollution.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and this is kind of spelled out at the beginning of the manga, with the humankind like blew itself up in 7 days with the giant fucking nuke mechs and shit. And Nausicaä is one of the few people who it is great that they show us how dangerous spores are constantly. Like, anyone just getting into you is really bad. Everything needs to be cleaned and cleansed with fire and destroyed if it has even a tiny thing. But then
it's like very, very impactful when the Tormekian ship lands and fucks with the harvest, and you just have to burn that stuff.
They have to burn trees and stuff, and they have to, even when she gets off her ship, he has like a weird fire cleansing around her. And then to contrast that, she has like a big in the center of the kingdom, there's a big like spore farm, but it's like as she explains, they're inactive because they get clean waters, and obviously you shouldn't be able to explain that to people normally. It's a good thing Yupa is the one who comes upon this scene. And then there's a lot of psychic connections between various of the characters and the ways they communicate, and I really like that final stretch where we have kind of like a mage battle between the two different opposing like schools of thought of the sages, and the evil one, whose name is Miralupa, I believe. I don't know if they said that yet.
It hasn't been said yet.
Hunter ass name.
I just remember that name because it was like an alternate email handle of mine when I made like a Japanese PSN account. I called myself Miralupa something. Yeah.
Oh no!
Name yourself after the evil brother.
Well, I thought he looks cool. He's got the cool face. I like how he shows up as a shadowy figure inside of Nausicaa's like dreamscape.
The visual style for it just reminded me of the Omu, like with the multiple eye thingies and stuff.
It does seem similar.
The Omu are cool. I like how they don't really look like anything else.
No, they're very unique, and they get so much mileage out of like there's like Ohm armor and weapons, and they use their shells for the gunships, and she uses like gunpowder to get in one. And he makes that perfect balance between like very majestic and noble and very terrifying.
Yeah.
Like that is legitimately that like 3-page dialogue was spread when the Omu crash into the ships, and it's just fucking utter chaos, and there's like people getting like shredded to pieces, and the royal guards all huddled together with their shields. The Dorks think they're really clever by making like an Omu like they call it like a powder box or something, but like a
the bunker.
They make like a little bunker, and then it just gets squashed to bits, and all of them get fucking annihilated. It's like, there's fucking these terrifying, just like a stampede of fucking elephants just come in, and yeah, that scene is so good on the acid lake, where she's like stopping the baby Ohm from going in, and she's like burning her foot, and there's like Ohms like suiciding themselves into the acid lake, like trying to get to it. It's like, oh man. It's
I mean, it does imply that Omu blood like heals wounds or stops the
kind
bleeding.
of, or it might be just like that if they want to do it.
Or only for Nausicaä.
It's unclear.
She also breathes in a spore at some point, and it hasn't come up again, so maybe she's just immune to it.
I don't know. I don't recall enough. Man, I feel like I'm missing so many great things. I'm just gonna talk about like scenes. One of my favorite ones go on, Green. You talk about it. I want to hear what you think.
Well, I was going to say, so much of this is going to come down to visuals and aesthetics that, I mean, we can talk about the scenes, but this works more as like a series of interesting moments than like, the plot. Like, the plot is good and makes sense.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's there to facilitate the vibes to a fair degree.
I know what you mean. Like, it's a very competently made, very, very clean and interesting story, but it's not like the main focus of the appeal. I agree with you. Like it is a kind of story we have seen before. Like a lot of it is like the chosen one, big calamity war fantasy.
I feel like a lot of what he
it's an extremely well done example of it.
Are sentiments that he feels like he can show it with just one image that's very good.
Yeah, he definitely.
Where you don't even need the words to really get the gist of what the manga is about.
This world sprung from his mind. This setting. He wants to draw airships and cool windmill palaces, and he wants to draw his waifu flying around on a glider,
giant insects,
and big insects, and then he's like, I'm gonna make a strong story to be the backdrop of this. I was gonna mention I really love that chapter, especially visually and aesthetically, because somehow the artwork even gets slightly better, even though it's so accomplished to begin with. I love all the stuff when Yupa's adventure into the like Dorok land, where he just like infiltrates an airship, and he's like going through it. He's like having this cool fucking fight scene, and they find out the creepy experiments like that. That's a great like. I was happy to end on that bit, because that's like when it gets really epic and kind of dark, and he's just like this badass Lone Ranger sort of character, and then it ties in back into the story. The movie is very truncated, really. The movie is a great companion piece. I think it's worth a watch. Like, it's a very enjoyable film. It looks gorgeous. It's great to see these scenes in color and movement, but it is no substitute. Like, it kind of just ends on like a kind of a sort of a unresolved thing, and it kind of just like jumps through certain key scenes, but it's nowhere near as complex or interesting as the manga. Like, the movie is great as like almost as a trailer to the manga. It's also funny that it was Hideaki Anno's first animation position was animating the giants that destroyed the world in Nausicaä, the Valley of the Wind. That was Anno's first animation job, which is fitting.
Cool.
Yeah.
You keep mentioning Anno, and it keeps making me think of the first time I ever saw the Nausicaä manga.
Which was?
Do you remember?
Oh no! Oh no! I don't know what you're talking about. Anyway.
Yeah. I was in
it's okay. It's
coastal
okay.
city
Don't worry
somewhere,
about it.
and a movie was on that Anno might have voiced the main character in, and then someone, could have been anyone, just starts like drunkenly yelling, "Fetch me my Nausicaä manga! I need my Nausicaä manga while I watch
sounds
this."
ridiculous. You're just saying stuff.
Yeah, then someone threw my drawing of an eggplant.
Well, it was a shitty draw. Anyway, I mean, I don't. Speaking of Mobius, I love how he doesn't draw. He draws all his panel borders by hand without a ruler. That's a neat touch. They're all wobbly and slightly off, which is a nice touch to make it feel very storybook. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I don't have that much stuff to say about, like, it's just very enjoyable experience. It's a really fun world to be in. It's just, you don't want it to end, really. It's just a great.
It's almost flawless. It's extremely enjoyable.
I'm really happy. I'm really happy you enjoyed it so much.
And it has amazing pacing. Like, after certain very long-winded things that I've experienced,
this
in media in recent times, it's a nice.
Yeah, this needs to be mentioned in the same breath of just not just like manga and anime stuff. Like just when people are talking about like great fantasy stories, just like what the people want to really discuss is like being a classic. Like this should be on like fantasy fans like bookshelves. Like it's just a great example of the genre. I like all the backstory stuff too. I like all those like I like a lot when we go into her head. I feel like that might have influenced a lot of Miura kind of when he has those scenes, like especially later with like Shirky and Guts kind of stuff. Like I like all that stuff where you kind of see inside of her psyche and you see like kind of scenes of her childhood with the Omu and he lets the art style get looser. Kushana's really cool.
She's an interesting character because she's layered.
She starts off seeming more cartoonishly, kind of how Nausicaä would see her, and then you kind of understand that she doesn't have it very easy. And she's like the interesting like commander who gets given like the shitty things and the odds are against her, but she has an incredibly loyal core troop of guys, and she makes the best of situations. She has plenty. Yeah, like you said, the story is full of like badass characters who have their great moments. Nausicaa, Yupa, the Kurosawa, the prince guy.
I like Yupa. He's one of my favorites.
Yeah, Yupa's great as like the wise wandering mentor guy. I like all the stuff with her dad
but speaking
too.
of which, one thing that's crazy, or one thing I noticed and love and is funny, it's crazy how everyone, but especially the old men in this, they all love Nausicaä.
Oh yeah. Remember that? I meant to mention. Remember that great little moment? There's no way you didn't notice it, where like she gets in the airship again, and the old man's like, "It's been a while since I've had Nausicaä sit in my lap."
This city-state is packed with elderly men that just sit around talking about how cute Nausicaä is.
This is a very common, like, this is full of like Miyazaki tropes and archetypes, like the weird dented headed old people, the and having like the band of like the bearded bushy mustached like older men. It's like they're in like Porco Rosso, they're in Laputa. They're in just like so much of his work always has that like squad show up as just like the rambunctious bunch of good-hearted old men, and it makes sense. But he gives a great reason for it, where he's like, Nausicaa wants to leave the young people of the valley behind, so she takes these trustworthy old men, and they have this scene of them like arguing how to get back to her and stuff. I was gonna mention the little thing too. What was it? Fuck.
What people love.
I mean, this is also just a thought.
Yeah.
I don't know how to feel about it, or I don't know how surprising it is, but I have been waiting for just like barely justified panty shots and stuff, because he also does that. Having characters literally like flying, and now is when he chooses not to do that. It's just kind of funny.
He has the movie has that a bit more, and it may just happen more later in the manga. It happened a tiny bit here, but there are a couple scenes where she like removes her clothes and she has cleavage. And he always specifically talks about, there's like that famous interview where he talks about her bosom specifically. Oh, like here on this image here from later in the manga. Like later on she wears a lot of like crop top more sort of things and has her boobs kind of moving a bit in the wind. So that does happen more. Like I said, this is just him kind of like, this is what happened to him when he like watched that movie as a kid and was like, oh, I fell in love with that cartoon character of whatever anime that was in the 50s. Like this is his like trying to get that out of his system for the first time, is just like he concocts this massive framework to have this female character he loves be in almost every panel. I was just going to say, ultimately, like, I'm happy to hear you guys talk about it more and more. I've never had that much to say about it, just that I love this manga, and it's like one of my favorites ever.
I mean, it's one of those where it's just perfect. Like it's
exactly
it's
like
8 out of 10. You know,
like
it's gonna be. There's not that much to say. It's just like, oh, it's flawless.
From me, but
it's a good way to become a favorite.
Yeah, you're gonna love. I think you're gonna love it all the way through, Jaws, because it's like I remember the ending being particularly satisfying and well done and epic and everything I wanted out of it. And I think from here on out, it's just more interesting and cool scenes. There's more characters who show up. But not many more. But you get a lot of stuff with the ones that we have already. Like I think you are going to be. It's like this all the way through, if not better. Like it's great.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's very satisfying. Everything gets wrapped up very nicely. Like it's just a great. Like when I finished, I read this in like 2 days when I was like 18 or 19. Like I just like ordered these from. Based on whose recommendation, and I just read them and I was like, that was just a fucking flawless, perfect story. Like it's like an FMA Brotherhood kind of sort of thing. I just gave it a 10. I was like, yeah.
I'm gonna say, I think my final thought really about this, about the pacing. The pacing is good. I have noticed it is also very even. Reading Nausicaä is kind of like standing on one of those conveyor belts at the airport.
Yeah, you
like,
go through it. Yeah, at the same pace. You're right.
It's a very steady progression because they'll have a few pages of backing up and there's not a lot of action. Yeah, but it's pretty consistent of like, oh, action scene, evaluate a bit, action scene, evaluate a bit. Like it's very one
nice
foot in front of the other.
It's very nice to read. You just turn page after page and you're just like, yep, it's always the same quality level basically.
Yeah, I couldn't point to the fast parts and slow parts of this. It's all pretty much the same.
Yeah, it's a running story. You're kind of following Nausicaä, and she kind of moves like that herself in the story. Like she's constantly like gliding and hopping. She jumps into things. She jumps into airships, out of airships, runs here, runs there, goes back and forth. Like, and you're just kind of with her. I don't expect. Yeah, like Green, you're saying it's like perfect. So it's like I get what you're saying about that, because you're saying basically you don't expect it to have any standout thing that will be something that speaks to you massively. Kind of like what happened with Soul Eater. I get that totally. I didn't expect it to be like a favorite of yours. I just wanted to showcase another one of my favorites after the interlude of Taco Beat. I am very surprised. I'm very happy, not surprised, but happy that Jaws likes it that much, because I really didn't know what to expect with Jaws. It could have been either way. It could have been like, oh, I really like this and I think it's really well done. Or it could have been like, oh, it's not really my thing and I don't enjoy this kind of thing very much. So I was like. So I'm like, yes,
I mean,
jackpot.
I'm having the exact same reaction that I had with Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust.
Oh yeah,
where there's nothing in it that super grabs me. It's just a frictionless experience because there are no flaws. It's just
it's an easy thing to point to and be like, this is a really well made. This is a great thing. You can just say recommend this to people and go like, yeah, dude, yeah. Also, John has read this, and he really likes it too.
Oh my god!
It's one of the few manga we have in common, so I just always remember this. So John has all the manga cred he needs. Anyway, shall we wrap up, perhaps?
It's a good time.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Thank you. Probably a longer arc to arc than usual, and I look forward to continuing all these manga as usual.
Yay! Yeah.